back from the bye week, plus a quick review of the Giants 2021 rookie class coming up on today's Locked On Giants podcast.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. Patricia Traina here with you. And as always, thank you so much for making the Locked On Giants podcast your first listen of the day, or if you're watching us on YouTube, your first view of the day. And I want to thank all the new subscribers, by the way, who jumped on the YouTube channel, inching so close to that 1,000 subscriber mark. So to everybody who has signed up for that, to get our little, to get our notifications when we have new shows and shorts and whatnot, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to me. And I shall endeavor to continue bringing you the type of content that you will want to come back for. And before we get into today's show, which, by the way, we're going to talk about some questions ahead for the New York Giants, and I'm going to do a quick review of the Giants rookie draft class, where everybody stands, some thoughts and whatnot. I have a special announcement for you, and I am so excited about this. So anyway, you guys asked me for this over on YouTube. I know some of you on that listen to the show asked for it as well. And I'm pleased to announce that the entertainer is coming back. That's right. He's not only coming back on the show with me this week, but we are planning, wait for it, we are planning a live show on YouTube. And the show, by the way, will be recorded. It'll be available to those of you who don't want to visit YouTube. But the point is we'll have a live show. Probably go about half hour to an hour, depending on how things go. We'll take your questions, your comments. It should be a lot of fun. I will have details for you. I'll start posting them in the show notes. Also, for those of you who are following on YouTube, there is a community message board. So when we have the details finalized, just click on the tab that says community on the page, and you'll see the post, and I hope you will check it out. I hope you will be able to participate. It's probably going to be on the weekend. I think it's going to be Sunday, but I'll post when it's going to be once I finalize the details. Really excited to have the entertainer coming back. He was terrific, and I know a lot of you enjoyed him on the show, and we're going to do it. So hope you will enjoy that. All right, let's get into today's programming. And I spoke about questions that are coming up for the Giants. Now, I put together some questions for articles on Giants Country, both for the rest of the season as well as for the upcoming Monday Night Football game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I want to start off with the big picture questions for the rest of the season. Okay, so the first question that I wondered about, or I put on my list, is, can the Giants make a run for the playoffs? Now, I know some of you probably just spit out your morning coffee if you're watching this in the morning, or if you're watching this at lunchtime, maybe you spit out your drink, or you're thinking, God, what is Pat smoking? But hear me out on this, all right? I know the Giants haven't looked like a playoff team, but right now, the bottom of the NFC conference is so crowded that it could potentially come down to tiebreakers to decide who's going to the playoffs and who isn't as a wild card. So right now, the Giants, despite their record, they're still very much in the hunt for a playoff spot. And if they can start stacking wins together, a big if, because that's something they were able to do last year. They were able to put together 4 wins in a row over, matter of fact, they sandwiched those 4 wins, I think, around their bye week. So if they could do something like that the rest of the way of this season, don't be surprised if they sneak into the playoffs. Now, will they go far if they get in? Probably not. But I think, the roster in itself, I know the roster's been banged up. The roster's not that bad, as it's certainly better than it was last year. The coaching's had some hiccups. The injuries have been a problem. But if the Giants can get some of these guys back, if the coaching staff ironed out some of these hiccups that they were having, who knows what would happen? I mean, anything can happen. That's why you line up and that's why you play the game. Now, you're probably wondering, do I realistically think they have a chance for the playoffs? Right now, I need a reason to believe it because, as I've been saying all along, the Giants season has been a case of they start and then they stop and then they start and they stop. So it's been like one step forward, two steps back. I need to start seeing growth, linear growth going upward before I sit down and say, yes, I think this team is playoff bound. Okay, another topic that I know I mentioned, not just on my rest of the season list, but also on my week 11 list, is the injury situation, which I mentioned before. Now, right now, as I record this, I'm recording this on a Tuesday night, there is optimism that Saquon Barkley will be back in the lineup. Right now, I don't think we can say the same for Andrew Thomas, who is still on IR. We will see if they activate him. They probably don't have to activate him, I think, until Thursday, which is when the first injury report comes out. So getting him back would be important as well. Sterling Shepard, not counting on him being back. I'm not so sure if Lorenzo Carter is going to be back. So there's still a fair amount of guys that are missing. And then we still need to find out about Devonta Booker, who had the hip injury, Cade Smith with a concussion, and so on and so forth. But if the Giants can start getting these guys back, not just one at a time or one here, one there, but in droves, I think I would feel a lot better about this team's chances moving forward because they do have some winnable games coming up on their schedule. I think they have about 5 winnable games that they can potentially pull off if everything falls into place. That's big F. All right. Another question. Which players have earned more playing time the rest of the way? Now, we saw how before the bye, O'Shane Ximines was deactivated. I mean, O'Shane Ximines, he's been quiet all year. And they replaced him with, they had Ellerson Smith active. They brought up Trent Harris, who filled in on the strong side for Lorenzo Carter, who while injured, has also been kind of quiet this year. And then, of course, Quincy Roche. So will those guys continue to see more reps? Will Aaron Robinson continue to see an increase in his snaps? These are all things that I'm kind of expecting to see. And as with anything, when a player gets more reps, somebody's going to have to see their reps cut back. And I'm curious to see how that plays out for the Giants, because look, if they're getting ready for a potential run at the playoffs, which may or may not happen, and they're going to want to know who they can count on. And if nothing else, at least find out now what you have for next year so that maybe, a need that's looming now, you don't need to worry about down the line, right? So that's some of the stuff that I'll be looking for in terms of player deployment, who's in, who's out. All right. And then finally, from a big picture perspective, play caller changes coming. Now, head coach Joe Judge said that right now there are no plans to change the play callers. The key words, right now. Might something happen down the line? Could be. I wouldn't rule it out. Could Freddie Kitchens become more involved? Possibly. To be clear, I don't think Jason Garrett's going to be fired. I would be surprised if they strip him from any play calling duties. But if the Giants don't get the offense in gear, I could see, especially if the playoffs are within reach and the Giants need to, kickstart that offense, which, by the way, is averaging about 19 points per game scored, I could see something being done. Again, it won't be this week, but down the line, something to keep an eye on. All right, Giant fans, we have much more coming up on today's show. But first, if you do a lot of driving like I do, then you need to know about a fantastic new app called Get Upside. When you open an account on Get Upside, you can get up to 25 cents back per gallon every time you fill up at the pump. Get Upside makes it easy to save on your gasoline, and they give you multiple cash out options, such as direct payment to your bank account, PayPal, Amazon gift cards, and others. And you can cash out anytime you want. And for a limited time, when you open an account today using our special promo code Touchdown, you'll get a bonus 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. So that's 50 cents back per gallon on your first fill up when you open an account with our special promo code Touchdown. You can find the Get Upside app in the Google Store or on Apple iTunes in the iTunes Store. So check it out today, download the app, and start saving every time you fill up at the pump. All right, Giant fans, you've got Patricia Traina here on the Locked On Giants podcast. And for the rest of the show, we're going to talk about the Giants rookie class. And this is going to include the draft picks, the undrafted free agents, and the waiver wire pickups. So I'm just going to go down some of the names here and just talk a little bit about them, my impressions, where they fit in, and so on and so forth. Now, just on the whole, it's been kind of interesting, this rookie class, in that, you know, usually you want your rookie class, you want as many guys as possible contributing. All right. Now, before I get into the individual assessments, this has kind of been an unusual rookie class in that only really a couple of guys I think you can make a case for as really having contributed. And that's due to obviously injury situations and just a variety of topics. So we'll go through each guy, and I'll tell you, you know, what I like, what I didn't like, and where I see this guy potentially fitting in down the line. So let's kick it off with the draft class, and we got to start with Kadarius Toney. Now, through 10 weeks, he has 28 catches for 352 yards, 3 carries for 6 yards, and he is 1 of 2 in passing for 19 yards. So he's been a triple threat for the Giants on the offense. And, you know, we all know about his explosiveness and his ability to break ankles. But here's what I really like about this kid. The football IQ jumps off the charts. All right. I see it in his route running. I see it in his decision making. And if you need proof of what I'm talking about, go back to the Raiders game in week 9 when he was asked to execute a gadget play, throw a pass. Now, Toney, as we all know, used to be a high school quarterback. So asking him to throw a pass is nothing new for him. All right. What he did, though, I think it was, I want to say a third down play, if I remember correctly, but on the play in which he was asked to throw the pass, there was nobody open. All right. So rather than try to force something in or, you know, throw the ball away or whatever, he took what he could get and he ate it. All right. So he didn't make a mistake. And it was a smart play. And I remember writing down in my notes how that really underscored this kid's football acumen and his IQ. And I just think so far, I know he started off, you know, a little rocky, missed some time in the beginning of the year, didn't really get started the way that we had hoped he would, but he's come on strong. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And this kid, I think, if he keeps his cool, he could be a huge part of the offense moving forward. So I'm really excited and encouraged by what Kadarius Toney has shown so far. Second round pick, Azeez Ojulari, the edge rusher. Through 10 weeks, 25 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, 7 quarterback hits, 1 pass breakup, and 1 forced fumble. And to me, he looks a little bit more polished against the run than I thought he might be. All right. According to Pro Football Focus, he has 16 stops for 0 or negative yards, which is second amongst NFL edge rookies behind Gregory Rousseau, who has 20. And that's amongst edge rushers, rookie edge rushers with at least 100 snaps. Ojulari is 4th in that same group in total pressures with 21 and is tied for 4th out of 11 eligible rookies with 100 snaps played with Jalen Phillips for win rate percentage, which is an 18.6% in a true pass set in rushing the passer. He hasn't missed a game. He leads the Giants edge rushers with 21 pressures. And I believe he is third on the defense behind Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence in getting pressure. So, the Giants pass rush, we could all agree hasn't been, on fire, but when this kid has gotten involved, it's been very, very promising. So I really like the path that Ojulari is on, and he just seems to be getting better and better every week. And I think if you're looking for the steal of this draft class, he would be it. All right, Aaron Robinson, the third round pick, 10 weeks, stats through 10 weeks, he's got 1 tackle. Now, kind of an incomplete grade here because he's just back from the PUP list. So it's hard to really assess him. But that said, I think moving forward, given that he's a 6'1" cornerback, a slot cornerback, you're probably going to see him in the slot more. And that's a good thing moving forward for the Giants, because a lot of times opponents will put a bigger receiver or a tight end in the slot. And no offense to Darnay Holmes, but you want to match height with height wherever you can. And I think that's one of the reasons, that and the fact that Aaron Robinson in college had a career completion percentage against him of 55.8. I think those are 2 factors as to why he is potentially the future at the slot cornerback position. All right, Ellerson Smith, edge rusher or defensive end, depending what you want to call him. No stats just yet. Still hasn't gotten a snap on defense. I think he's had 2 special team snaps, and I'd expect him, at least for these next couple weeks, to play more special teams than defense. And the reason for that is on special teams, that helps a young player get acclimated to the speed of the game, especially the defensive players, where Smith, I think, is lining up right now on the kickoff return team. I want to say is the L3, which is a guy who, one of the guys who are responsible for keeping, influencing guys to the inside or to the outside of the play. But anyway, Smith, I think as he gets acclimated, because remember, he hasn't played a full football game since December 2019. He's going to see more snaps, maybe a snap here and there as a situational pass rusher. So really excited about what he potentially brings to the table. All right, running back Gary Brightwell. He's primarily a special teams guy. He's kind of like the David Tyree of this generation. On the offense, he's had 1 carry for 4 yards, 1 reception for 6 yards. Nice little runner, a guy who hits the hole quickly, doesn't hesitate. But Brightwell's ticket is going to be special teams. And head coach Joe Judge told us before the bye that he could see Brightwell having a long career in the NFL on special teams. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Chase Blackburn did it. David Tyree did it. Renee Thompson, for those of you who remember the 1980s, Renee Thompson did it. Nate Ebner is doing it. Up in New England, Matthew Slater was doing it. So there are plenty of guys who have made their living on special teams. And it sounds like Brightwell is maybe the next guy the Giants are looking to become that great special teams core player. So we'll see how he continues to progress in that. And then finally, on the draft class, let's talk about Rodarius Williams. Now, unfortunately, he tore his ACL. He's out for the rest of the year. Only managed 1 tackle, played 50 defensive snaps, and had a rather high rating. I think it was like a 158.3 rating in coverage. But Rodarius Williams was aggressive. He wasn't afraid to tackle. He was active in coverage. And I think when you go back and you look at his rookie season, it says a lot that he was active ahead of Sam Beal, who is no longer with the team now, obviously, but is a guy that everybody thought would be like a future starter down the line. So Rodarius Williams, I think next year the Giants are going to have some makeover, if you will, of that cornerback group. And I could see Rodarius Williams potentially being a part of the group that they keep when they reshape that group because of salary cap issues. All right, Giant fans, still more to come on today's show. But first, have you checked out BuiltBar.com? They offer 9 amazing flavors plus a rotation of select limited time offerings, both in nut and nut-free variety. Built Bar is the perfect choice for a low carb, low sugar, and high protein treat that will satisfy your sweet tooth. Visit BuiltBar.com today. Get 15% off your first order with the promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 at BuiltBar.com for 15% off your first order. All right, Giant fans, we have much more coming up on today's Locked On Giants podcast. But first, BetOnline is back and better than ever, offering a new web interface and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head on over to their updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today for an account, and you can receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you use our promo code Locked On. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline has everything you need to know. It is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. So take advantage of our special offer today. Use our special promo code Locked On for your 50% welcome bonus on your initial deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Giant fans, welcome back to the Locked On Giants podcast. Patricia Traina here with you. Coming up this weekend, the live show with the entertainer. Check out, again, if you're on YouTube, check out the comment section, the community section, I should say, and I will have the details for you, and hope you will join me and the entertainer for that. Traina and the entertainer. I think somebody coined that. I like that phrase. And we'll be talking Giant football to get you ready for Monday Night Football. So it should be fun. And that show will be recorded. It'll be available on YouTube. It will also be available for the folks on who listen to us on the Apple iTunes, Google iPlay, Stitcher, all those formats. So check that out. Okay, we have a few more guys that I want to talk about from the rookie class, and I just finished with the draft class in the last segment. So let me talk about the guys acquired off waivers as well as the undrafted free agents. Now, got to start with my man, Quincy Roche. All right, through 10 weeks, Quincy Roche has 11 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for a loss, 3 quarterback hits, and 1 forced fumble. He is the 6th best rookie edge rusher among his 2021 draft class peers, according to Pro Football Focus. And he has gradually been seeing an increase in his snaps. So when I was talking about before guys who might see an increase in their snaps, Roche is definitely one that I think is going to see more and more action going down these last few games here. To put things in perspective for you, Roche has 6 pressures, including a sack, in 139 snaps. And okay, to give you an idea of how effective Roche has been compared to, say, Lorenzo Carter and O'Shane Zimenez, 6 total pressures, according to Pro Football Focus, including the sack, in 139 snaps. Okay, so what else do I like about Roche? Well, besides the fact that he's got a quick first step, a quick burst, and just reads plays well, his anticipation is surprisingly pretty good for a rookie. I mean, sometimes rookies are just wild men out there, especially edge rushers. They don't rush with a plan. And Roche just seems to be a little bit more advanced in that regard, and that he does have a plan. Now, he needs to maybe add a few more moves to his repertoire, but so far, Roche has just been a very, very nice surprise for the Giants, a great pickup. I know he was the guy that they were interested in during the pre-draft process. He went to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh cut him, tried to get him on the practice squad. The Giants wasted no time. And boy, am I glad that he is on this team. He's just been that good. And looking forward to seeing more from him moving forward. Okay, a couple more. Defensive end Raymond Johnson III, who has 1 tackle through 10 weeks, but who also has done a decent job, I think, of pushing the pocket and creating some pass rush pressure. Raymond Johnson is the only one of the 3 undrafted free agents that the Giants signed after this year's draft that actually made the 53-man roster. And it's going to be interesting to see moving forward if Johnson, who I think, by the way, has benefited by the fact that Ellerson Smith has been injured. It's going to be interesting to see how those two kind of play out. If I don't think they're the same player playing the same type of role, but I'm curious to see who ends up with more snaps moving forward. Johnson, intriguing for sure. Ellerson Smith, the jury's still out, still have to see a little bit more, but I could see a battle between those two maybe developing down the line. And then real quick, last but not least, inside linebacker Justin Hilliard. He's been on injured reserve. I think he had an Achilles injury, so he's an incomplete grade there. Not much to say about him, but with the inside linebacker situation, next year you're going to have Blake Martinez hopefully back healthy from the torn ACL. I don't know if Reggie Ragland will be back. I think he's on a 1-year deal. I'm not so sure if he would be back. You'll have Tate Crowder back. So Hilliard, I think maybe he'll get a chance to compete down the line. So he's kind of an incomplete for now. So, all right, folks, that's going to do it for us for today's show. And again, don't forget, if you're on YouTube, check out the details for the live show that I will be doing with the entertainer this weekend. Should be fun.